Hello, everybody, and welcome on into Sidelines. I'm Drew Patrick. On today's episode, we talk field hockey and cross country's opening weekends. Welcome back to Sidelines. Let's talk cross country now. As joining me at the desk, we have two members of the women's cross country team, Angie Colon and Carly Daniels. Thank you both so much for stopping by.
Thank you.
So let's talk about this past week, the first meet under the belt at home. How good is it to be back or to get back into that race format?
Oh, so good. I mean, training alone all summer is, I don't want to say lame, but it is. So it's really great to be back with everybody else.
Yeah, and we competed the first week we were here, so it actually felt good to be in an actual race environment.
Yeah, let's talk about that competition that first week here, the Tour de Mountaineer. Going back to it, I know we didn't have that last year, but what was it like to immediately kind of be put in that competition mindset as soon as you get back trying to do that preseason training?
I think it was good for us. Like, it gets us focused right away from the start, so there's no messing around type of stuff, and it really directs the freshmen. I think we're not here to mess around, it's serious, and we're starting right away.
Yeah, and as this was my first time competing, it really showed who did their summer training and who did it. So
let's go back to this first meet at home, knowing that this course is going to host the two biggest meets of the year in the conference championships and regionals, but it's your home course too, so gauging those two things of knowing that this is the same course that you're going to run on, yet this is also your home course, so you could really go practice on it whenever you want. What kind of benefits and what are the things you try to notice about this course, knowing that you'll be back?
Well, we know the feel, so the different loops that there are, we know which ones are going to feel longer and which ones feel fine. We know where there's little dips in the course. Definitely the big thing is the holes in the course. We know where it's going to be rocky, so you need to be careful with your footing. Yeah, I think it benefits us a lot to have the home course, one, so close to us, and two, hosting all of the championship races.
yeah, the footing especially, because that could be an advantage to us instead of going into a hole and going around it. And knowing the different loops, we know when we can speed up, and the other competitors won't because they don't know how much longer we have left, unless they know, but they don't know.
Sure, if you know, you know.
Exactly.
So the opponents there, Bloomsburg, another tough team in the conference. So gauging where you guys are at the beginning of the season against a team like that, how important is that as you go forward?
Oh, it's very important. I know, I said to her and Anna and Bailey, if you look at last year PSAC for even just track, there's girls that they beat that went to PSACs in track. So if they're already in front of them, we're good to go for the PSAC meet. I think it really boosted at least mine, and I'm sure your guys' confidence going into the rest of the season, that we're where we should be now and have a lot of room to continue to grow.
Yeah, it was cool to see, especially the two of us, Anna and Bailey, in their mix with their top four, and pretty much 8 of us were battling, and it was kind of cool to see that we didn't think we could get this far. So we're in the mix.
So yeah, knowing that you're here where you guys want to be at the beginning of the season, what do you have to do to maintain that and really take those steps forward as the season goes along?
Well, we're trying a new race plan this season, and I think that it's just, we need to practice doing that because it's a new race plan, so using that throughout the season is going to benefit us going into the conference meet and just practicing doing that. So in practice, we're trying to work on getting out hard and maintaining a speed and then continuing hard. So our interval workouts are a little different this year because we're trying to practice that race plan.
Yeah, the race plan is new, and we're all adjusting to it. Carly adjusted to it very well this weekend, and it's just getting out fast and seeing how long you can stay, but Coach Mike says he needs to form our wolf pack, which is the top 4. So I guess like the 4 of us are training to be a wolf pack.
Hey, especially those large events, it pays to be a wolf pack there. So let's kind of talk about this race and what you guys saw during it. What were some of the things that you noticed throughout this race? Kind of break it down for me.
Well, one of the things that I think all of us were a little concerned about going in was the race plan itself, because it was new and it was kind of scary because it didn't make sense when you think about it. Like, why would I go out intentionally hard and plan to die off when, like, that just seems kind of backwards. But I think sometimes in running we forget that it's not supposed to feel like rainbows and sunshine. So I think letting go of like the expectation that we were going to feel good the whole time was really important. And yeah, I mean, it sucked, and all of the guys said that it sucked after they ran too, but that was the point. And it will feel good at the end, but it's not necessarily supposed to feel great in the middle. But yeah, I mean, that's going to be important to remember throughout the whole season.
Mm-hmm. I think we're all so used to negative splitting our races or runs, so starting off and then continuously getting faster, when this is the complete opposite. He wants us to get out fast, so that was an adjustment, but yeah.
So this weekend we go from a course that you guys are going to be familiar with to a course that, Angie, you are very familiar with. This weekend, a homecoming of sorts for you. How excited are you for this?
I am thrilled. My high school ran on this course 2 times a year, so I have very good experience on it, and I think our team is going to run well. The ladies are running like the exact 5K that I ran back in high school, the same course, and I think we'll do very, very well there.
And Carly, knowing that you have someone who really knows the secrets of this course, how is that going to be a benefit to you and the rest of the team?
Well, I mean, I trust her judgment considering she's raced there multiple times. I mean, that's part of cross country, is going into courses that you're unfamiliar with and just kind of adjusting as you go and doing what you can while you're there. I mean, before last weekend, I said, I'm just going to wing it. Like, I don't want to plan, I'm just going to wing it. So that's kind of my attitude. I'm just rolling with it.
Of course, the other thing with this is it's not a close, having that long trip with each other, kind of an opportunity for bonding on those long trips. How do you approach that aspect of a long trip for a meet?
Well, yeah, I think we actually enjoy traveling as a team because we are so close, and I mean, the long trip isn't fun, but it's better when you have good people to travel with, and I know that we're planning to do some other like little sightseeing things while we're there too, so that's always fun.
But yeah, as a New York native, I will be tour guiding them the whole trip. But yeah, like she said, we're really, really close, so we're really excited about this trip.
A little double duty there
Exactly.
for you. So let's kind of roll that over to, we've touched on it or kind of danced around it a little bit, but kind of your goals for this season as a whole, looking forward down to the conference meet. What is those things that you want to accomplish? What is your goal for this year?
I definitely I definitely want to be an all PSAC athlete again. I feel like I'm in good enough shape to do it, and I've been on and off with injuries, and I have one more season to do it, so I'm really trying. I think as a team, we can absolutely get our top 5 under the top 50. I believe that wholeheartedly, and last weekend only boosted that confidence a little bit more. I mean, I'd love to see everybody under the top 25, and it's not out of our realm, I don't think.
Yeah.
And that would be great. We have a little motto going this season, and we say whatever it takes, and that's kind of, I think, all of our mindset going in. Like, we're going to do everything that we possibly can to be the best team that we can and compete as well as we possibly can all the time.
Yeah, that's pretty much like what a hashtag, whatever it takes. And Carly has been like feeding to us, like she's like, we could be top 50, we could be top 50, as like speaking for the women. But that I would also like to be all conference, because that would be kind of cool. But yeah, top 50 is the goal. So.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I know you are as well. And thank you both so much for taking the time and stopping by.
Thank you.
And Sidelines continues after this. Do not go anywhere.
It's all part of Mother Nature's perfect blend, the keystone of the Keystone State. Visit Potter Tioga, a 2-county scenic outdoor haven conveniently located, yet worlds apart. A place where you can kick back, unwind, and forget about the pressures of life. Disconnect and reconnect with your friends, family, or even yourself while surrounded by nature's beauty. So start planning your adventures today at visitpottertioga.com.
Welcome back to Sidelines. Let's continue to talk cross country as we have David Wooten and Christian Tanner now joining me here at the desk. Thank you both for stopping by.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
So let's talk about this past week, this past race. Able to go on the home course. How did it feel to be back out there against competition that's not inter-squad competition?
Well, it was good to finally be back out there again. Since track, it's been a while since we raced, and especially the traditional home or at Bloom, one or the other. It's always nice to get as much opportunity on our course as you can, given that the races that matter the most will be there in early November.
It was good to be on the course. It's the first actual race that I've been on our home course. It's in great condition for it. It was just, it felt like a good atmosphere, kick it off at a home meet and have everybody there for support. It was really nice.
So let's go back slightly to the start of preseason training, or rather the competition of preseason training that was the Tour de Mountaineer. Some of kind of your takeaways from that and being able to start a preseason training with everyone in a competition mindset. How much does that help you guys?
I think that it's one of those things that you have to get in the mindset very, very early. Even though that we are teammates, when it does come down to it, if we can't compete as a 5-person team, it's going to come down to your individual performances. That's one of the nice things I like about the whole running is both individual and as a team. But it really sets you up to be cognizant about what you're doing, because if you're not doing something properly, it could be affecting your other 4 guys on the team. So if you can pay attention to what you're supposed to be doing and helping them pull them back in, because relative to our training times, we're pretty close and we got to be relatively close to help pull people, it's good to be on top of your game.
I mean, it's simply just so much better and easier with a group and more atmospheric as a team. It's 10 times better than running alone in the summer, as everyone probably dealt with. And it was good to get back. Unfortunately, I couldn't do as much on the Tour de Mountaineer because I was pretty banged up, but now I'm back to full health. So.
Hey, you looked good in that first race, though, back to full health. So talk me through this race. What kind of things you noticed throughout? It got real humid in the middle of that race.
It did.
How do you have to kind of adjust to that on the fly?
So the race, like humidity, if it's a morning race, there's only so much you can do. Like it's going to be humid no matter what, especially in early like September like that. So that was just like, if you get used to all conditions, you get a little bit of everything. There's nothing wrong with that. The race we went out pretty slow. A lot of the guys, it felt slower than we wanted, but overall it wasn't, placement-wise, it was a lot better than our dual meet last year. It was actually a lot better, given that they only had 3 in front of us compared to the 7 before.
It's, yeah, I definitely agree with that. Humidity was quite a killer. I think that a few of us had to go into the mindset of, even though it is our first race, you can't really treat it as a rust buster, because that gives a place of, I wouldn't say excuses, but it'd say, oh, if we had a bad race, it's just a rust buster. But it definitely does make an effect on it with the first one of the season. It helps get back into the flow of things. Your nerves are kind of there. It's been a while. I mean, personally, it's been 3 years since I had a full cross-country season, so you definitely have those ups and downs with it. But
so from that race, looking forward, now this week is a bit of a trip and a big race that you guys are going at. So how does then kind of, you have to do a switch a little bit to a bigger race, a more full race, whereas the dual meet or the tri meet there, you kind of have the ability to be on your own at times. Probably not going to happen with this race. How do you have to adjust to that?
I think it almost plays better in our hands as a team-wise, because it'll get us out a lot quicker. The adrenaline of a bigger race definitely does help pull and push people. I think that with it being such that bigger race, that nerves and that adrenaline kind of carries you through those last other 2K that we didn't have previous. But so I think it's more of a ready to put in some work and into hurt than it is to change the mindset of something.
So this is our first 8K of the year, so it always is good to open up shorter, so to like get your step up, although you're not taking a big jump. So this might actually be our toughest course of the year. I've ran Van Cortlandt once in New York, and it's not hilly, but there's this massive hill in the middle. So, but this is just, it's good to do it. It's good to experience it all, even though we won't be racing on a hilly championship course, which I can't really complain about.
Speaking of that, yeah, the fact is that it's the home course for the championship. So to be able to really have the ability to train on it whenever you would like to train on it, how is that going to be a benefit come that time down the road?
So the big thing for me personally, and maybe for other people, is you learn sections of the course the most, and you know what to expect. Like, you know which loops are the hardest, the shortest, etc. Because some may look short but feel extremely long. But it's good to know where you have enough open space and where the turns are coming at, the surge, etc. There's a multitude of things.
Yeah, I mean, he hit it right on the head. There's maybe the 1-2 spots where there might be a rut, so you can kind of unintentionally shove one of the guys in there, not hoping to hurt them, but throw them off guard a little bit. Or like you were saying, some loops run faster or slower, or Learn's loop is just seems like it goes on for forever. So, but yeah, it definitely does have that a little bit of an advantage there.
So let's kind of roll that into what your goals are this year, and what are kind of those things that you're looking forward to, want to see improve either as a team or as individuals?
I think we have quite a great opportunity to have all of our top guys really close-knit and within a minute or two of each other, which is awesome because we haven't really had that tight squad like that in quite a long time before I was here. So it does gauge a lot of excitement, and it's something to really look forward to, and it helps boost your own training. But personally for me, I'm just trying to stay healthy, take each day at a time, and see how close we can get to qualifying for nationals. So that's the push.
So the big thing is, like, I don't really have as much individual goals, given up I came in pretty banged up, but I'm just trying to put as much strength work in as I can just to get as much volume in and be as strong to come towards the end of the season when it really matters. I'm not really worried as much of time and placement early on. But as a team, it's compared to last year, I'm a sophomore. It is a big step up already. Like, it is a lot to look forward to. Not even like only this year, but next year is probably what really will be the year, given that as you get long-term strength and more development, and we still have a very young team. So it's a lot to look forward to, not only this year, but next year, the following year even. It's a lot.
I was going to say, that is a really good point about this squad. Is a lot of you guys were freshmen in your first year coming in. Christian, you've been gone the last 2 years, so kind of just trying to figure out that gelling back together and to take that next step and to really kind of get back into gear. How do you what are the things that you've noticed about taking that next step and then coming back and seeing athletes who you hadn't really run with before, but seeing them take that next step?
It's something to be proud of. I mean, I love that what they're able to do with one another, the amount of work they put in with themselves, both during the season, off the season. I mean, there's only about 2 weeks out of the entire 52 weeks of the year that we're not running. So it's awesome to see them putting in the work about that. But it we've taken that step back for a little bit, and not having a season and then not being here for a fall season. I think it's just one of those things to be proud of the team that Coach Mike has been able to put together, to teach them and then have them apply it on their own with not having to step back in and try to clean up edges, or not in the per se of trying to take charge, but guide better. Is they're knowing how to do it on their own, and I think that's the biggest thing too, is just being able to do those things on their own. And I mean, it's their team too, so to have them control, which is great, because it feels like not one just one person's in control. We're responsible for one another, and I like that. It's good camaraderie.
So, like you mentioned, like how we do have a young team, which we do. It really will play a big part. Like this year, it will be noticeable just from our first meet how much of a difference compared to the 2 years based on how everything went. And now we honestly have more depth overall and a young core. So this year, I expect hopefully we can work our way up to mid-pack, the top third of the PSAC, which would be awesome. Granted that we were on the bottom third last year, which given when you have a big team, there's only so much, or a young team, there's only so much you can do, and it's a normal part of the process. You don't just build a championship team in 1 year. It's not like that. Mm-hmm. So it is a lot to look forward to this year and even next year again.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I know you guys are as well. And thank you so much for taking the time and stopping by.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
And Sidelines continues after this. Do not go anywhere.
Pride and passion drives the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference. From 55 NCAA championship teams, 294 individual national champs, and counting. Who's next? Make the PSAC yours. PSAC Proud is winning in athletics and in the classroom. Over 3,100 PSAC student athletes are honored as scholar athletes. It's a perfect mix of athletics and academics. It's time to make the PSAC yours.
Welcome back to Sidelines. Let's talk field hockey. As joining me at the desk, we have Kelsey Robertson and Alex Esterling. Thank you both so much for stopping by.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
So let's talk about this past week. The season opened, able to get 2 victories in that. What were some of your general takeaways before we kind of break down each game? Just the general takeaways from the week.
Well, we started off with 2 wins, so that's the positive thing that we're looking at. It's great to see us finally get back out, come away with 2 wins, and also returning with the same group plus more is another big takeaway.
It's very exciting to see how much potential we have for the rest of the season, and coming off of 2 wins makes the rest of the season very exciting.
So because you touched on it, we'll go there about the fact that you didn't really lose anybody from last year. Having everyone back, how much of a benefit is that, truthfully, to have that entire real group, that core back?
It's great because we literally we didn't lose anyone, and it made the incoming class, the freshman class now, I think feel even more welcome because we already have our set girls. I know how they are, they know how we are, and then adding in, I think it was an easier transition for them because we already had each other, and I mean, that's great. We literally didn't lose anyone, so.
It gives the returning players and new players confidence and so much more to look forward to because we didn't lose anybody.
Yeah, no one has to really kind of replace a role, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's more just incorporating the new players into the role. So let's get back into the games. That first one, a shutout victory. What were some of the keys to success in that Southern Connecticut State victory?
Definitely our packet passing, making our way up the field, getting those passes down.
Yeah, our pocket passing looked a lot better, especially when we were struggling with that during the scrimmage times before opening weekend. So seeing it come into play when it truly mattered was great to see. It was also reassuring to know this is us, this is what we can do, and it worked. Also, our shots I think looked a lot better, especially going in from scrimmages to gameplay. So that's also exciting to see.
And then moving that right along to the very next day. First of all, having to be ready for a game the day after playing a game.
Yeah.
What kind of adjustments go into that? And then talk me through that win.
I think the second game, everybody kind of toned in a lot more. Like, we had the first game jitters, everybody being nervous. It was out of the way. Everybody knew like how it was going to be playing on the turf again, like playing with the people that you were playing with. I think just transitioning from the scrimmages to the game, like after the first game, the second game, everybody got into where they were supposed to be, and like we saw a lot of improvements, and like passing was even better, and like just more confidence in yourselves.
Yeah, I think we definitely like calmed down. I mean, this is my third season now doing this, and the first game jitters will never go away. So traveling out to Kutztown, and I mean the bus ride, it's not the worst that we have, but I mean it's a road trip for opening weekend. So fatigue, you know, kind of set in for the second game, more so just like really having to hydrate because of how hot it was. But we made it work, and I think everyone felt a lot more comfortable the second game, knowing that we already had one win under our belt. Like, we wanted to sweep the weekend, so.
So that's another really good point, that some of the things you have to gauge, the fatigue, obviously one thing, not only late in that game or throughout that game, but the back-to-back days, plus it wasn't cold.
No.
at all. So what do you kind of have to do mentally to prepare yourselves for that?
Well, there's only like, okay, first of all, us hydrating, I think, is like the most important, like physically. Mentally, like, there's only so much that you can say to you, yourself, and the team without beating a dead horse. Like, we know what we need to do, so now not overthinking what we need to do is the most important, I would say. Our teammates also hold us accountable for, you know what you're doing, like, you don't need to stress over it, just set out and do what you need to do without, you know, repeating it constantly, so.
Yeah, I think that like Alex said, like we hold each other accountable, and at this point, like, we can't control the weather, so we had to just go out there and just like do what we do best, like just play field hockey.
That the accountability thing, is it an easier thing or a more difficult? The fact that everyone is back and you're just all kind of growing together, is that an easier thing now to have accountability with each other because you've been able to grow with each other?
Yes, majorly. My class, at least, I mean, we're the seniors now, so there's never been an issue as to holding ourselves accountable. We always just say, like, we don't take anything like personal, like, you have to hold them accountable, everyone on the field, or everyone's not going to perform at the level that they can. Her grade has gotten extremely well. They fit right in, or right there with us, holding everyone accountable. And even the freshmen, although, like, obviously you're a freshman, you don't want to speak up as much, everyone's definitely a lot more vocal than when we first started, which is really great to see.
I think the holding people accountable has gotten a lot better because you feel more comfortable. You want to, like, you know what their potential is and you want to see them reach that. And it's just a lot easier when, like, you know the people better and you have more confidence in yourself. And
so how much weight kind of do you put in the fact that where you guys played, you're going to see Kutztown on that surface? Sometimes adjusting to surfaces can be tricky, but having two games on that surface for down the road, potentially, is that a benefit to you guys?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we all have favorite places to play. Me personally, I think one of my favorites is actually being home, and one of my least favorites is Kutztown. And it's been like that since the beginning. I don't know what it is, but I mean, at the end of the day, there's no excuses to like what surface we're practicing or playing on. We have that like 55-minute warm-up adjusting to it. So by come game time, like, you can't necessarily be like, oh, well, I hate this surface, so it's going to go poorly. But I think it has a lot to do with it. The speed of play is a little bit different, and like their bumps and like kinks on the field are different than ours, but you have to adjust.
I think like having these two games is definitely going to help us, and when we go play them at Kutztown, we'll have like a feel for the turf already, and we'll like know like that it's different than other turfs and just kind of like have to adjust to it. But this gave us a little bit of a better place to know where to start and stuff.
Yeah.
And speaking of the home turf, we're back on the home turf this weekend.
Yes.
Conference play, or the non-conference play, but a conference opponent that you're going to see. What are some of the expectations for this this game this weekend?
Totally taking it away with a win.
Yes.
We have been talking about this since, we have to talk about it game by game, like without skipping ahead. But I mean, it's home opener and it's IUP. Like, we are really excited. The expectation is to walk away with nothing less than a win. Obviously, the higher the points, the better, and a shutout is like what we're aiming for. But I think just because it's conference, non-conference play or whatever, I'm not even going in, or that's something that we probably won't even talk about. Like, we're playing it as it is, counting for conference right off the bat, and hopefully seeing the results that we want to see.
Yeah, the expectation is definitely to come out with a win, start off the season strong, and just kind of like make other teams where like we're ready to play this season, and we're not gonna settle for anything less than like winning.
Of course, not dwelling on last year, but knowing that you guys were just a game off the playoffs, and knowing that that's the first goal, or one of the first goals this year, how much motivation, or what can you use from that going into this year?
Well, what I think about is one of our goals and expectations this year was, as like a whole team, first thing we laid out on the table was we're not relying on another team to win or lose for us to clinch the spot that we want. So it did happen to involve IUP beating Kutztown, which no one thought was going to happen. So we thought we had our way in, and then it didn't do what we thought, and we didn't make it. And now we're seeing them right off the bat. So even for the freshmen that weren't there to be there actually at that time, I know that they have a feel as to how hungry we are to come out with a win.
Yeah, our motivation is definitely like making playoffs ourselves, not relying on anybody else, and just like that's what's motivating us. We were so close last year, and like we want to get there this year.
So, I mean, let's just kind of put a bow on that. The goals, the expectations for this team this year, what are they?
Well, our first one was playoffs.
Yes.
Because I think that's something that we're totally, completely capable of, especially with the group that we have now.
Like not losing anybody.
Yeah, it's just like a perfect little mix of all of us. We all bring something different to the table, and playoffs was instantly our first goal. I mean, we have
another goal was to not let we play some teams twice, and we don't want to lose to a team more. Like we don't want to lose to them both times.
Yeah, along with like making sure our shots are coming off and finishing in the circle, and smaller things that are also extremely as important, because we're not going to make playoffs unless we do the small goals that we set out to do first. So yeah, we definitely are goal driven this year, I would say.
Yes.
Well, thank you both so much for stopping by. I'm looking forward to this weekend, absolutely.
Sarah, thank you.
And Sidelines continues after this. Do not go anywhere. Thank you so very much for taking the time and stopping by, and great luck on the season.
Thanks, Drew. Appreciate it.
And Sidelines continues after this. Do not go anywhere. And that's going to do it for this show, folks. To stay up to date on all things Mansfield Athletics, head over to GoMounties.com. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next week.